What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the Paranormies present the Ahnenerbe Hour. I am Johnny Monoxide, and this week I'm joined by Hazzard, McRee, Adam Haidt, Jesus, Greyfield straight. I almost forgot. I'm so excited. And this week we have the one, the only Lawrence Murray, and also the one, the only Weev. What's up, guys?
Hail victory.
Hail victory.
Hi.
What up?
Hello, sir.
Yeah, wow. This is it's a really big show. It's a really big show.
All right, fine. I'll say something different. It's really cool to be on a podcast with my favorite social justice activist.
Which one of us is that?
You know, national social justice. I mean, the only kind that's worth having.
No, by activist. Which one of us is your favorite?
Oh, pretty sure it means Weev.
I'm going to neg you on your own show. I mean,
I'm just kidding. Of course you are. Of course you are. Yeah. Thanks for coming back, Larry. And
no problem.
Weev, thanks for coming out,
Good
bro.
to be here.
Yeah. You guys ready to talk about some spoopy stuff, huh?
Yeah, it feels good, man.
All right. Tonight we have on two masters of Meme Magick.
Wait a minute. Real quick. Twitter, email.
Oh yeah, I got way ahead of myself. Okay.
Our Twitter
Hazzard, go.
Our Twitter is @the_paranormies. Our email is paranormiespresent@gmail.com. And we've actually had a couple of people asking us how they can donate, and you can send any donations to paranormiespresent@gmail.com.
You can send donations too, but they're not as valuable.
Yeah, no, donations.
That be our donations.
No, Hazzard wants donuts, is what it is. He's actually. All right, that was me. He prefers Krispy Kreme.
Important shit away from me.
Hazzard is a strong believer in the thin blue line. So if he wants to.
Hazard's not a firm believer in the thin anything. Stop it.
I was hoping someone would follow up on that.
It's more the fat red circle, isn't it?
I got you, McDago. Oh. All right. So, it's a very interesting week for Meme Magick, hey guys. We once again have memed some shit into reality.
It's unbelievable. I mean, you can't make this kind of stuff up. The Podesta emails, the James O'Keefe videos that just came out.
I was actually, up till Fox released those, the James O'Keefe thing, I was absolutely raging because when the Podesta emails came, almost no news outlet were covering it at all. Didn't they work out with something like they did less than a minute or something like that between every news network on it?
Oh yeah, I'm sure. And then these people go on and act like there's no collusion or that there's no conspiracy to protect Hillary Clinton's reputation or anything like this. And it's just the sheer audacity of the chutzpah. I mean, it could really only come from.
Hold on. You said it wrong. It's chutzpah.
Oh yeah.
Whatever it is, it needs to go in the oven.
Yeah, it does. So what other what kind of memery have we been up to this past since we had you last on, Larry? What have you noticed?
Let's see. So I actually gave a speech sort of covering that at the New York Forum about a month back now. And one of the really amazing things was just how the alt-right pretty much broke into getting mainstream coverage without having to really do any sort of like physical presentation at all. Like it was all entirely based on, memeing. Like we didn't have to have a riot or a protest or anything like that. It was just entirely the power of memes to terrorize the Skypes.
Yeah, I mean,
completely terrorized by them.
When Hillary Clinton actually addressed us, some brave man stood up and just screamed, "Pepe!"
Yeah. The voice of the Froghead spoke through that man that day.
And speaking of terror, one specific incident that happened pretty recently was up at the University of Michigan. Some very, very bad goys went and did some flyer campaign that had some hate facts about the our African brothers, and They were called terrorists, and what, an $80 million diversity initiative was created in order to try and fight this, this terrorism.
You know what that's $8 million short of, though, right?
Oh, that's true.
And we almost hit the big one.
We did. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, they're actually trying counter to Meme Magick now. There was a hashtag on Twitter called Curse Donald Trump, where literally libs were attempting to throw sort of curses at him through one big effort, and it was pretty lame.
They realized the meme magic is real. They realize that we've been able to meme things into reality. We've been doing it for, it seems like forever, but it really hasn't really. I don't know if it's been that long, but we've been doing it since.
We've been realizing there's something to it, and actually trying to, affect and shape things for about 6-7 months now that we've been going.
Sure. I'll give it that. But what do you say, Weev?
I think you guys are new on it. If you've been only 6-7 months, I have a tweet that I have. It was in June of 2014, where I had promised Donald Trump my vote. This was a year before he announced his run for office. The memes are ancient, right? Like this is just you're just starting to remember what it is to be European, right? But this was what Europe was made out of. Is that the Greeks, right? The source of the word poet is poien, which is a Greek verb, a coined Greek verb. It means to make, and it means to make in the specific context of path making, right? Like so in times bygone, it's like the poet was everything, and the crafter of language and ideas was the person who made all of reality.
So would you say then, Weev, that we are seeing a resurgence of old gods and old magics in new forms?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, the whole of civilization has followed a path, right? And that there was a concerted effort that came from Levantine vermin to try to destroy the abstractive and formative powers of language, right? They made the word flesh and they murdered it, and they tried to shift all of civilization from a mode of thought that was continuous and about narrative to ones that were about institutions where nothing was ever added. So we went from works like the Heimskringla, which was a continuous sort of account of the formation of Northern Europe and the lineage of Swedish kings, and then we switched to the Bible, which is like you can't have anything else that's said by Christ ever again, right?
Yeah, I wrote an article about this recently for TRS titled "The New Newspeak," which is about how certain people are trying to take language and our very means of expression away from us. They're trying to dumb it down, condense everything down until we can't even think and express ourselves anymore. I think that definitely ties into the whole process.
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
That's way more apparent in Europe, where we've actually got hate speech laws, to the point where certain facets of speech are completely suppressed.
And you have to remember as well that language itself, I mean, not to sound too meta or like spurgy here, but language itself is a meme. And we're fighting the meme war. We're fighting a battle of ideas to convince people of what we believe. And so you've got this stuff resurging. My favorite of all is, of course, Pepe, this character that has nothing to do with anything that we've managed to really take control of, to the point where the creator is like teaming up with the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League.
Oh my God! I saw that today. The ADL is trying to bring. They're going to bring Pepe back from the white nationalists that turned him into feels good man.
So the creator now, Matt Fury, he just made a Pepe comic because he invented Pepe, and it's where Pepe's just kind of sitting there looking sad, and then he grows like a Trump wig and explode. Yeah. It's really
that's going to be this week's photograph for the cover.
I'm actually going to address Fury directly, just in case he somehow hears this. Fury, this is no longer a boys' club.
Anti-Trump, like in a way, it's just his typical sort of surrealism. But even though Trump explodes in this comic, there's like a nuclear explosion that goes off. Like Pepe himself gets like sucked into his bed. Like the nightmare doesn't end.
Well, let's not meme any nukes.
Yeah, well, what's the reality? Is that the plague of frogs is about to end, and then come the locusts.
Right.
I like that.
Well, I mean, if you ask people in England and France, I think they would say that the locusts, the eaters that don't contribute and have bottomless bellies, I think they'd say the locusts are already there.
Can confirm.
That's actually that. You know what, Hazzard? That's a really good point. The locusts, and they keep coming, and it's that. What's that?
So fill me in. Does this lead to
these
an
are
exodus?
our plague. These are our plagues.
Yes.
The
But it leads to an
locusts are
exodus,
going
right?
to be things that we put into the sky.
Ah.
But it leads to an exodus, right?
I hope so.
It did. It did
They
in the
all
Bible.
have to go somewhere. That's for sure.
Well, they have to go
I mean,
back.
that's the plan,
basically.
right? We're going to part the sea and send them all back.
Do we have to part the sea?
If the sea collapses back in on them, we don't care.
Yeah, as I say.
Can I just,
Pardon,
guys,
so just shut
guys, for like 1 second, can I just say that like I have two of my, like I'm gonna fanboy for like a half a second. Is that if that's okay with you guys?
Go for it.
We got
Go for it.
Weev, who I've read about for years and on the show, and Lawrence Murray, whose articles I read like every 3 days because it seems that they come out that fast on the same show at the same time talking about memes. Like I'm just sitting over here muting and smiling and clapping my hands every time you guys talk, just so you know. Okay? All right. Continue. Oosh,
But
did I
this
make
I-
it? Did I make it all weird
ideas
now?
of-
Sorry.
No, it's all right. It's
No,
all right.
No, we get it.
it's
You're
wonderful
rubbing
to be
yourself off.
praise.
Grace. No.
But these ideas of hate speech laws, they're very. This is the dialectic materialism of Marx, right? Of Marx and Lenin. This is the idea that thoughts and words are to be rationed very carefully by the state and owned. This is the mindset that is pervaded among Jewish thinkers since the time of Christ, since they came up with Christ, and then they move forward and they propagate this amongst white populations, right? Like, but it doesn't really work, right? Like, this is the reality:
Right.
is that the plane that we live in, there are two forces in it, right? There's the God that created the souls of men, and then there's a God or a collection of gods which created the material world that the Greeks referred to as the demiurge. And these two gods are always at war, right? But the God that created the souls of men is a much greater God in truth, and that there's just no suppressing the abstractive power of language. And there's been waves and waves. It was after the dialectic materialism looked like it was going to consume this world, right? There was a new dawn of abstractive power of language thanks to the contributions of Alan Turing and the catalyst of Adolf Hitler, which spread this new magic of computation across the planet. And we're going to come to a point very soon where the same sort of sorcerous power of language is going to return to the earth, when you're going to be able to utter something in language and it generates that physical object instantaneously in front of you. Like, the magic is returning thanks to this new advent. So there's like a secondary war that's going on right now to try to make sure that that this new abstractive power of language is once again sort of closed off and put away, so that the common white man cannot access it.
Weev, you said that they are failing to control the words and the language and everything, and I think a really good example of that is just Huffington Post. I love checking out HuffPo after some big event with Trump, because it is just remarkable to see them try to rationalize everything as somehow being beneficial to Hillary Clinton. And I think it's, in a way, them desperately trying to say these things and meme them into reality, but because they're not sincere people and because they, don't have Keck's favor, it's ultimately just a hysterical failure.
I agree.
The other thing is the way they're so high on trying to shut down speech and ban various things. It shows like how in time they are. Like, to use the lightning and the sun analogy, like these people are so in time that they don't recognize, like, they recognize that these are threats to them, but they can't counter them. All they can do is try to turn them off. They don't have an ability to counter them.
My feeling towards
mimetically.
that is that not only are they trying to limit our speech, but in doing so, they're limiting their own. So they're limiting their own power to this set sort of spectrum. No jokes, please. Yeah, I know what you're thinking.
We have our own spectral powers.
No one here is on the spectrum. Okay, let's
Nope,
get that
I
out
think
there.
you mean to say, Johnny, that no one here is off the spectrum.
All right, no one here is off. That's exactly opposite of what I actually said. We're all on the spectrum.
Yeah, but they've limited themselves to this one set of vocabulary, which essentially means they're limited to one set of meme magic. So while we're subverting that and going around that with our own unique and, as we put it, I suppose, historically European sort of wordage, we're beating that because they can't counter it. They've got nothing in their arse to counter it.
Yeah, they can't actually defend their own memes. They just are like, well, we're going to put up a firewall or a word filter because,
Right.
like, we don't
That's
actually have a principled answer to this other than
And
stop
then we
saying
start
it.
calling them Googles and Skypes and neighbors.
And then we change it again.
kayaks.
Then we change it again. And then the memes change. The memes evolve. The memes grow. The memes
They'll
are
get to the
alive.
point where they can't use their own language. Like now,
Well-
parentheses are considered a hate symbol.
Yeah.
Well,
for the
who-
first time in history, punctuation marks are considered racist.
Well, why do you think?
Whenever you see a
the
Jewish
far
name,
left-
even in one set of parentheses, it's still going
Why
to
do
make
you
them
think
nervous because it
Right.
could be
far
free.
left will not debate?
Sorry.
They
go ahead.
basically have. So why do you think the far left will not debate? They have a platform of of no platform for the right because they can't counter it. There's no argument from their side.
Right.
Their memes are that they want to destroy civilization. That's not a good meme. It's
Right.
very hard to disguise that. You know?
What were you going to say, Weev?
The parentheses thing, like the freak out over it, reminds me very much of the Antiqua fracture debate, right? Like we have a sort of a precedent in history where something that's not quite the actual content of the language, but the syntax by which the language is presented in is really important and a symbol of the advancement of the white race, right? Is that there was a very intense, much like hipsters debate fonts today, there was a very intense debate at the time of Adolf Hitler, and that there was, the old fractive fonts were considered a symbol of the old world, and switching to the new Antiqua fonts was considered something like a German visionary, right, would use the Antiqua font. It was something put forth personally by Adolf Hitler, and I feel like we're seeing this very same thing again, and that we're seeing the small syntactical and presentational aspects of language are becoming very hotly debated, and that heralds something new that is coming forth, something very visionary.
So when you talk, you said font, right? Like the font that the letters are in?
Yes, correct. It was a huge issue in Weimar Germany. The fascists, the National Socialists would use a different font than everyone else.
Okay.
That's really interesting because there's a lot of fonts today, like just general graphic design, just really broadly speaking today, does have this sort of this like sterility to it. Like you see like Helvetica or Calibri or whatever, and it's very plain and very soulless and kind of I don't know, boring, I guess, but
Just for
like
clarity,
it's trying to homogenize everything.
Just
It
for
doesn't have
clarity,
any spirit.
When you say font, do you mean just the glyphs themselves, or is the alphabet different in itself?
No, the alphabet's the same. It was just the presentational aspect of the font, like you change in, Microsoft Word. Like there was a huge political dispute rooted in fonts that Adolf Hitler put forward, and it was like the way that just the aesthetic presentation of the same Latin letters was a very heated dispute at the time, and there were the same kinds of freakouts over people using the newer Antiqua fonts, like the same histrionics that you saw over parentheses. Like this happened right then.
And it's literally the font. Well, the font that you guys are talking about is the same font that you see on the cover of Mein Kampf usually. Am I correct? Is that the Antiqua font?
I mean, the Antiqua fonts are more modern.
Oh, really? Okay, that's not so that's not the same font that they.
Yeah.
No. Okay. No. You're right, because that's the German Gothic script is actually what's on the. I can see from across the room. Yeah. No, I was wrong. The Antiqua was the Latin
Jewish
script.
jab at Hitler.
Yeah. So that was that was a Jewish jab at Hitler to change it to the Gothic script.
Yes, it's something because Hitler was very much an advocate of the modern Antiqua fonts. So to change it and put the Gothic script on this book is the same kind of irony that they employ when, say, they put the Andrew Jackson on the central banknotes, right?
Right, yeah, exactly.
Right
exactly. No, he went off to the central banks, and now look who's on our money. Yeah. I see what you mean.
I mean, it is a bit of a minute point, but the way we write down our ideas into language can say something about the civilization as a whole. Like, if you look at the way the Romans, produced their words into text, very little punctuation, everything was all capital, no spaces. It was a very efficient way to read, and you, of course, had to be very literate to know where things naturally ended. So it wasn't, language for the common people. It was a language for people that knew where those breaks were and were used to speaking it, and then therefore could read it. When the Franks invade, if you've ever seen what the Frankish script looks like, it's a mess. It's them trying to write like Romans, and it's all out of margin and everything. Roman writing was always in the margins. It was very squared. The Frank script is like all wobbly and goes up and down, and it's a mess. And then finally, when you get to the Carolingian dynasty, they bring back Roman order, but they start using different kinds of punctuation like capital, lowercase, commas, periods. So they really... This is a society that has different goals than one that's just simply trying to jot things down. Whereas now we're at a point where, languages and writing, it's incredibly simple. You just type on the keyboard. So
yeah, you just touch the buttons and the words come out.
Yeah, it's very low effort. So there's
but now we have
abundance of content now. And
but
so
now
much
we
of
have
it has
comics.
No purpose.
Now we have
so
Comic
easy to
Sans.
produce. Right, so now we're reverting back to these image-based ways of getting messages out because there's just so much text.
Which brings us back to memes.
Exactly.
Which brings us back. Weird how that happens.
There's something about meme. There's something very primal about mimetic methods of transmission of information. There is something very innately appealing about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've said that language is for everybody now. Reading is for everybody. Writing is for everybody. So most of it's garbage.
Why are the left's memes so bad?
I have a love-hate relationship with elitism, but it's true. The mass literacy has led to lower quality stuff, frankly.
The left memes are so bad because of what I said earlier.
Hold on a second.
There are certain images they can't use.
We dropped you for like 2 seconds. So the left's memes are so bad because... And go.
I'll say the left's memes are basically so bad because of what I said earlier, because they limit their language and scope. Because there are images they refuse to use or refuse to be associated with, there's no way they can express themselves.
Well, I've noticed are also just kind of dumb and uncreative.
That and leftist memes always have too many words.
They have too many words that aren't really saying anything.
No, they have a wall of text and like a really poorly drawn... MS Paint.
They require a lot of dogma in order to appreciate. It's like, I don't know if you guys remember, like, classic Daily Show during the Bush years. Like, that wasn't funny unless you hated Bush.
Right.
Like, you had to be dogmatically on point
to get that picture funny. With all those words next to his face.
That's how SNL is now too. SNL wasn't always that bad in my opinion, but now they're full-on Daily Show. Presentation.
Yeah,
and I think that shows just how divorced from the truth it is, because it's so unnatural, the sort of humor that they try to force. Because when you just exist in a natural state, you don't have to have these layers and layers and 12 to 16 years of public school indoctrination to, quote, understand, unquote, some idea.
Can you believe what these people that don't live in New York or California think? They're so dumb, right?
Right, yeah.
Wow. I want to be high status and smart and kosher, and these people don't. They're terrible.
To be fair, it's the same in the UK. When you look at the counties, if you go further north, people who would say the same things about the south, and then vice versa.
Yeah, I remember looking at the maps for the Brexit vote, and it was like, okay, so London voted to stay in Europe, and England voted to leave.
Right.
Yeah.
And to their credit, so did shit, but they showed whose side they're on.
We lost you again. Could you repeat that?
Who voted to stay?
Wales. I said I give Wales a lot of shit, but they showed what side they're on this time.
Yeah, no, they wanted to get the fuck out of there because apparently
they know they can't.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I think Wales knows it can't go it alone in the way that Scotland can, because they don't have any petrodollars.
Can Scotland really go it alone? Pussy all is very, very quickly.
Well, no, Gray. They can just bring in more diversity, and the country will automatically get better.
Isn't that how it's been working?
Only if they rebuild Hadrian's Wall. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, if Scotland went independent, they would be hugely rich. Hugely rich. They would be the richest country in that region, basically, per capita.
Yes.
Think about them squandering it all.
Yeah, and of course they would spend it all on bringing in niggers. Is the reality?
Can you imagine what the per capita wealth would be in the Western Isles? There's like 5 people on each island. You'd live like a king.
Right? You could.
Well, wait.
Well, hold on. A king or a kang?
I'm talking kangs. I mean, the original Scots was from Egypt.
Oh, that's right.
That's
right. That's right. Yes,
you could live like a blanked out shit.
I know my shit.
I know you do.
You saying we was
I know you
the
do,
Bruces?
Lur. I know you do.
We was Bannock Burns and shit.
Yeah, no wonder they lost.
Oh shit.
Why do they wear the dress? No, the kilt. What's the deal with the kilt? And they're the only ones that still do the Scots. Like that's their thing. What's up with that?
If I take that kilt off, will you die?
Exactly.
It would be extremely painful.
For you.
Edward Longshot did nothing wrong.
For you. Yeah, no, it's more like for you. Yeah. I forgot who it was. He said that, some comic who wasn't Jewish said something about. He was a victim class. He was like handicapped, so like he's automatically funny. But he said he was playing. Yeah, exactly. He was playing. He played soccer for the U.S., like the Special Olympic soccer team, and he said the worst thing was going to the after party.
That's the regular U.S. soccer team,
right? Was going to the after party at a U.S. Scotland paraplegic soccer match. He goes, because not only are they like paraplegic, but they're also Scottish, and now they're drunk. So like you can't understand them anyways because they're Scottish, and now they're drunk, and they're also like handicapped, so that like there's speech impediments and shit going on with that too. The Scots, I can barely understand Scottish when they're sober.
I've said for years that Glaswegian isn't an accent.
Glaswegian is not an accent. Nice. You cut out. That's why I said it again. So.
Okay.
You've been doing that. It's weird. You'll be like through a sentence and like we'll miss like a second and a half in the middle of it. I don't know. Your internet is being very.
I'm getting the same with you actually.
Still better than Skype.
This have to say.
The Eternal Anglo does the opposite of echoing. He cuts off.
Oosh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Nice.
So after Scotland, where does the meme go? Silence. Wow.
The meme of separatism?
I don't know. I was just I didn't know we were talking about Scotland. I just threw something up. Nobody whiff. Okay. So we are.
You threw spaghetti at the wall. You were hoping it was going to stick.
Threw spaghetti at the wall. I hope it was done. It wasn't done. It didn't stick. Now I have spaghetti all over the floor. So
I mean, I guess if you wanted to get into memes in Scotland, like at the very least they're calling themselves nationalists. That's like they've kicked out the Labour Party. Granted, Scotland's idea of nationalism is paused, but it still, if it were to happen, creates the precedent of peaceful secession in Europe, which hasn't happened in a long time, or since Czechoslovakia, really.
Right.
Well, especially how they're trying to thwart Brexit.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Well, they're like, you guys voted to leave? Great. Well, now here, fill out this stack of 400-foot tall stack of paperwork for the next 3 years, and maybe we'll think about letting you go. It's like it's like the Vogons are doing Brexit.
But, the English love their legalism, so if you get some dedicated people working on that, I'm sure they could enjoy filling out those forms.
So I know earlier we talked about how the left the left and Jews generally fail to utilize Meme Magick the way that white nationalists, European peoples have been able to. And I'm wondering, when you've got these problems of bureaucracy where there was this big Brexit vote, where it was the thing that polling said was never supposed to happen, where democratically this decision was made to exit the European Union, and now they're using all this legal bullshit to get through it. A really big problem we have in the United States in terms of accomplishing pro-white, pro-nationalist goals is the fact that because the left controls all the institutions, especially in terms of voting. I mean, I think honestly, in a fair election, Donald Trump would run away with it. But we know that we're going to have to deal with voter fraud and the way that the left utilizes these institutions to produce, very unfair results, and regardless of what you want to say about fairness. But
in a fair election, there'd be no Latino vote, there'd be no Muslim vote, there'd be no Asian vote. These are all heart-seller Americans that were brought here for the purpose of breaking our majority.
Mm-hmm. Right, but the point I'm trying to make is that I think one of the way that the memes are being used and the reason they're so powerful is because, in a sense, one of the ways that the left has been able to accomplish everything they did is that they just never shut the hell up about anything. They were agitating constantly, no matter what, to go farther and farther left. And I think one of the opportunities that the alt-right has now is to agitate farther and farther right, no matter what. I mean, I think let's say that everything goes the way it's supposed to this November and Donald Trump is in office. I think that is the signal not to relax, but to actually start agitating for even more extreme rightward policies, because that is exactly how the left has been able to successfully co-opt institutions and take over the academy and all this stuff.
If you want to understand how we lost the meme war on the right thus far, it's because the right has treated politics like Mr. Rogers, and the left has treated politics like Saul Alinsky. They understood that they were at war with their enemy, and they always framed it that way. Every conservative ever has been Hitler, and you have to fight Hitler. Now, what do Republicans say about, they finally picked up on that, and they started trying to say, Obama's Hitler, but nobody bought that. That doesn't make any sense.
No, that was a horrible trope that they tried to push.
You can't take your enemy's meme and try and use it on them without any sort of modification. It just
you have to modify the memes. You have to mutate the memes, really.
I think it's funny when leftists try and call people cucks. It's like, you guys
actually, you're actually being cucked when you get home.
Son in a papoose, and you're calling me a cuck.
Yeah, okay. You're going home to prep a 6'2", 300-pound bull when you get in a house. You're talking about you're a cuck.
You're texting from inside the shed. I'm typing at a desk.
The texts are coming from inside the shed. Weev, what do you think, bro?
Yeah, I think that the left has really done a good job, and I think I wrote an essay on this not too long ago. Is that it's called "The Nationalist Role in the Post-Trump Era," and basically, after the election, should Trump win, then we basically have to play the role of Julius Evola, right? That he was an opposition to Mussolini. He was an anti-fascist because Mussolini just wasn't really totalitarian enough, right? Is the long and short of it. And so we have to play that role where we have to just keep on Trump's balls and make it be like, why aren't you making America great again, right? We have to become Trump's fiercest critic should he win.
Right. We've said that the whole time that does he win? We can't give up right here. We've come this far, we can't rest on our laurels if and when.
We gotta hold the blowtorch to his balls.
That's right. The fire to his feet. I prefer fire to his feet. I don't want to go anywhere near Trump's balls. All right, to be honest with you,
yeah, he's old.
Yeah,
I mean,
those are old man balls.
He's
70. They're swing. Look, okay.
They probably hang down to his ankles by now.
Look,
Stop it, Adam. Stop it.
If he's grabbing people by the pussy, I think his balls still work.
To be fair, you see how leathery his face is. Just imagine how.
He's no.
Have you guys noticed that he dyed his hair blonder?
Just a second. He is.
I think it's because he's going Super Saiyan.
Yeah, that's naturally occurring. That's not dye.
Yeah, no, that's naturally occurring. Yeah. All right. I was going to say we missed the leather thing. I was going to say he's no more leathery than Shepard Smith, who came out as a faggot this week. But whatever. Anyways, for running all over me. Okay.
Trump is definitely going Super Saiyan.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is an extremely Aryan anime.
Right? Okay. Are we gonna do this?
Now the autism wranglers.
I want to get us
bring
off
in
this
the
autism
autism.
topic, so
Thank
I will
you.
just say that
Larry,
I
do
have a 5,000-word article that I'm going to publish at some point that discusses anomie, which is the feeling of alienation that's created by changing social conditions, the alt-right, and because anime is like a slant rhyme with anomie, that's also the third part of the article. Look forward to it.
Very nice.
I do. I look forward to every Lawrence Murray article. I share
Right,
them
but
all.
this one you'll have to sit down, you'll get comfy, make some tendies. It's going to be long.
What was
Well,
that?
you got to do that with every one of your articles, Larry. You don't write short articles.
I did one the other day that was like 1,500 words.
Yeah,
so
no,
I
it was quick.
consider that
It was
pretty
quick.
short.
I read it. I read it on the toilet. It was great. It was quick. Yeah.
Yeah, the one before that was like 4,000. But
That
I feel
was
it
like
an
my
important
legs
one to
fell
do.
asleep. I was like had been on. Yeah. All right. I'm not saying I read all your articles on the toilet, but a good percentage of them. I mean,
I have
I
to
do a lot of
ask.
shit posting.
Shit
Larry,
posting,
I have
yeah.
to ask, man. Larry, I have to ask, man. How long till the implicit whiteness of Monster Girls article?
The what?
The implicit whiteness of Monster Girls article.
When?
Oh, I don't know if we're gonna get to that.
That's
wait,
that I might have to do that under a pen name. That's
Is that going to be what is it? What is it,
hold on
Larry?
a second. Under a pen name, implying.
Well, I mean, your sock can have a sock, can it?
Well, socks can wear socks. You wear double socks when it gets
Wouldn't that
cold.
be a
out.
If it were really
shoe?
cold out, you'd wear two socks, wouldn't you?
Wouldn't that be a shoe? You
That's a
wear the
good
shoe
point.
over the sock.
It would. Okay, so,
Yeah, so you
Adam,
call your
you're
first
failing.
alt a sock and your second alt a shoe. If you've got a third alt, what would that be?
I just say you wear socks.
It's over
under
a
socks.
trash bags you wear over your shoes so you don't leave prints.
Greyfield, I just looked up the release date. We can expect that article on October 25th or
Good, good.
October
it
26th.
should be the day after. Yeah.
I'm glad you got the schedule to hand. That's the important
In
thing.
fact, Hazzard's going to write one too. We're going
Yeah,
to do
yeah.
companion articles comparing.
Are you
the pros
really?
and cons of
Is this
each.
a meme? This is not a meme?
You know
Who
what? We'll
knows?
do it. We'll do it.
We might do it. Yeah.
I think that would be cool because, like, we give Hazzard a lot of shit for eating everything in sight.
Everything.
But everything. And for everything else, Hazzard gets as much shit from us as I do from everybody else.
Yeah.
So,
I'll say this: Hazzard may be a Langolier, but he is a great writer. I really like his articles.
well, I don't know what that first word was that you said, but no, I'm kidding.
A Langolier.
I'm
Have you never
joking.
read
God
Stephen
damn
King's
it.
The Langolier?
Yes. God
Okay.
damn,
Not like a chandelier, but British.
it's Chatelet. Go away.
Chardonnay.
Chatelet.
Shadley.
So, no, as much shit as we give Hazzard, I have appreciated all two of his articles. And,
3.
wait for that. There you go. No, dude, you're a good writer. It's just that he gets like neurotic to the point where he doesn't want to publish it because it's not perfect. And that's good because that's a thing. You want to have that kind of drive too.
I'll tell you what I do. I publish shit with typos, and then people in the comments tell me where they are, and I fix them.
And you fix
it
them?
doesn't matter.
Because
I have
you can
definitely told you about a typo.
There you go.
I literally shit out 4 articles and then didn't do anything since. So,
Right.
Yeah.
I actually have 12 drafts right now.
that face when I just go on everybody else's podcast and make a podcast about stuff I want to talk about. Anyways, memes, fellas, memes. This is
Right.
this is what happens. This is what happens when you get guys together that are just shit posty a whole
Friends.
time together, friends. And yeah, I gotta say,
I could give you guys some. I could interject some content here for us to talk about. So I'm sure you guys have all read the esoteric Kekism article.
I have. It's
Oh,
actually
yeah.
that is seriously, dude. That's one
That
of my
one's
2
just
favorite
fun
articles of
to
yours.
read.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
It's
had
literally
fun
something I
writing
can
it,
read
but
over and over again. It's still good.
It's been called everything from brilliant to the most autistic thing I've ever read. And
Which is complete left to right spectrum. It's great.
yeah, and very few people picked up on what I was actually doing, which was a mimesis of Savitri Devi. Except instead of talking about Hitler and Hinduism, I wanted to talk about Pepe and Buddhism. And as I started looking into it, I was like, this actually works. Because Buddhism was founded by a guy with light skin and blue eyes. And Kek is the avatar of Meme Magick.
Right, Larry.
So-
As a
I just started forcing everything together, and then it worked at the end of the article, and I was like, okay, then.
Larry, if I may,
with that.
for a poor working class lad, could you tell me who this Davy guy is? Could you give me some info?
It's a girl.
Savichu
Oh, okay.
Devi?
Last-
Savichu Devi.
Yeah. Okay.
She wrote The Lightning and the Sun.
Yes.
Mhm.
Which I have been prompted to start reading since last episode. It's on the list of... It's on the list. It's in the pile of books that I'm reading. Do you guys ever read multiple books at once, or is that just me?
I do it all the time.
Okay, good. I don't feel as weird. I've got 6 books that I'm in the middle of right now. One being an Ann Coulter book, Savichu Devi. I'm still trying to wade my way through the end of Mein Kampf. I am finishing up An Inconvenient Inheritance, or something like that. It's one I don't have it in front of me. I can't remember the name of the thing. It's another one of those race realism, like the 10,000 year explosion. So yeah, so I'm
I
in the
take
middle of
light
like
tubes
6
to the head
books.
for a living, so
You do. You don't.
You know what I found out
Speaking
recently?
speaking of Mein Kampf and memes,
I just have
Hitler
one more
was
thing on Mein Kampf.
Hold on. Everybody, time out.
It's important.
what?
Go.
I read the whole damn book, and then I found out I didn't have the Stalag translation. I was reading the Cuck translation.
Which one's the cup
And I
translation?
have to read the whole thing all over again.
Hold on a second. I'm going to get my copy. Hang on. I'll be right back. You guys talk for a second. I'm going to get my copy.
yeah.
So to go back to meme magic, right? To esoteric kekism, right? I like to think of it like this: is that the last two social movements that esoterically worship darkness? Let's think of the symbolisms. There's the Totenkopf, right? And there is the Black Sun. I wonder where and when, when was the last time people were reigniting an esoteric cult of darkness?
Interesting.
That doesn't sound familiar at all.
I don't know. So I have
Biker gangs. You're
the
talking
Ralph
about biker gangs.
Mannheim translation.
Mannheim.
Right. Do I have the Cuck translation?
That's the Cuck translation.
Fuck.
Is the Ford translation okay?
Over again.
Which is the proper copy to read?
There's a few that are good. I mean, the Stalag is a great translation. Basically, anything that occurred, if you can get anything before 1944, right? Then you're good.
Okay. And you have the Stalag translation, Larry?
No, I've got the Cuck one.
Okay, yeah.
Bad.
I'm like 2/3 of the way through it. Now I gotta stop and start over. I can see.
But,
I can see
speaking
why
of,
they would have wanted to make it like difficult to read, because it's a very difficult to read book. And I've read Dostoevsky, and this was difficult to read. Comparatively.
Really?
Yeah.
That's weird, because I think I've read parts of the Ford translation, and speaking of Mein Kampf and memes, Hitler understood what proper propaganda was supposed to look like and what it was supposed to accomplish. And it's clear to me that he was one of the older practitioners of meme magic, because that's pretty much what propaganda is, right? It's imagery and text that is supposed to propagate an idea and spread it, and it's supposed to accomplish certain goals and embody certain principles and a certain type of spirit. And so, even Uncle Adolf was a practitioner of what was effectively meme magic at the time.
Yeah, it really is an insightful book. The most striking thing that I remember was, and of course, I don't know how much of this is accurate or not, because of the translation, but there's a section where he's basically just talking about graphic design, like referring to why they chose the swastika, why they chose white, black, and red. And from what I recall, it was because those were like the colors that the left was using. So they just took them and warped them. And it caught people's attention, and then they'd have to come look at the rally and be like, oh, what's going on? And then they find out, oh, all right, sounds pretty good.
So they suborned the regalia of their enemy, basically.
Yeah, they completely subverted it.
Devastating.
Yeah, devastating, is to say the least.
That reminds me of the
Weev.
way that that like right-leaning people are better at predicting the opinions and beliefs and the kinds of things that a leftist would say. I think Jonathan Haidt, or Haidt, I think it's actually pronounced Haidt, talked about it in one of his books.
I like
where,
your name better, just so you know.
Yeah, Adam Haidt, much better.
Yeah, the righteous mind.
Yeah, the righteous mind.
Yeah, he talks about how, conservatives, whatever the hell that means, right-leaning people are better at being leftists than leftists are, because we understand them, whereas they just sort of, they're kind of like pack animals that just repeat what they're told.
The theory he had was that right-leaning people had more axes of moral foundations, like they had more binaries that they would lean on, whereas left-leaning people were more towards like, well, is this fair? Somebody harmed, like that's all they care about is fairness and harm. But the idea of fairness, the idea of fairness is equal proportions, whereas on the right has a sense of fairness, but our idea of fairness is not equal for everybody.
Yeah, I was going to say the right tend to be a lot family oriented, so it tends to be right is more about community, where left seems to be more about the individual.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it makes sense that it would be the right that had the means and the ability and the aptness, whatever you want to say, to co-opt leftist memes the way that Hitler was choosing these things because the left did it. Well, now the right is starting to take and just hijack things that we like. I mean, we're hijacking punctuation, we're hijacking cartoon frogs, which sounds silly, but then CNN is covering it. Hillary Clinton is talking about cartoon frogs on her website.
Yeah, how much money are we getting them to spend on things that we do in MS Paint?
It's ridiculous.
No way to know, but I'm sure it's a lot.
It's literally, it costs us absolutely nothing because nobody pays for software.
And the funny thing is, we're sitting around doing this for fun and laughing our asses off, and they are in full damage control mode.
The thing is, you say nobody pays for it, but I can link you to Pepe's on sale.
I'm sorry, you can link me to Pepe's on sale?
I've got more in my safe, actually. I'm hugely leveraged on rare Pepe's.
Weev has to have.
Is that what you're like, Weev? Is that what you're doing now? I mean, fuck gold, get rare Pepe's.
I have been all in on the rarest of Pepe's.
Wow.
Yeah, best one I have is just a holographic.
Now, with your experience,
I get mine on the darknet. That's what I go for. Those are some really dank Pepes.
I have never seen a Weev Pepe.
With your experience fleeing the U.S. to another country, can you? Well, I mean, and I'm sure most of the alt-right is wondering, how does a Pepe hold its value during that sort of journey?
I think that that Pepe's are much better than most things because you can cross borders with them, and nobody knows how to value them correctly. So if you tried to take cash, right, or gold, like everybody understands the value of cash or gold, and you'll get it seized at the border. There's always limits of how much money you can enter a country with or exit a country with. But a Pepe, they don't know how to value that. So you can actually take vast amounts of wealth across borders seamlessly with rare Pepe's.
Hazzard asking the tough questions.
Dude, you got to focus on the economy,
Well, no, of course we bring it all here on the Paranormies. We talk about spoop, we talk about
the
memes,
economy,
we talk about the economy, and
we do have to move away from shekels.
We do. At some, well, no, we're quid goys here. We've done that. We've already talked about this. We're quid goys. We're not shekels.
Well, the GBP, the Good Boy Points, is actually Great British Pounds.
You know it.
The eternal Anglo strikes again. Okay.
Are you able to get tendies over there in Ukraine?
Oh, I can get anything. I mean, I could have a team of chefs prepare me the most precious of tendies right now.
Did they honey mustard too?
Oh yeah, definitely. You wouldn't believe the mustard. The Ukrainian mustard is so fucking good, dude.
Honey mustard is your God-given right,
nice.
and your God-given and constitutionally protected right. It's if someone denies you honey mustard, it's self-defense to kill them.
It's totally
I
self-defense.
actually make my honey mustard. I take there's Croatian honey that is made from the fields of lavender in Croatia, and then I mix it with the Ukrainian mustard. You can't beat it.
You only use honey from fields that have white women in them, right?
That's correct. I mean, they are Southern European, so
harvested from bees that harvested from bees that only pollinate wheat fields, that only Aryan blonde QT pies. Like, yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, it just depends on your definition of white, right? Like, some people would say that Croatians are less than white being in Southern Europe. I don't know. I mean, to me, the Croats are white. That's I've made that judgment myself, spending a lot of time, singing the anthem of the Ustaše in the country. They're good. They're all right.
I'll give you.
I think it's
to get a bit more on topic. Weev, like, how would you say sort of the meme game is in Eastern Europe, in places like Ukraine? Like, are the nationalists there sort of adopting this model? Like, how in the United States we have sort of like white nationalism 1.0 versus 2.0. And the alt-right and things like that. Like, how much of this sort of stuff do you see?
Larry,
all right, let me tell you this. Let me tell you a true story.
Okay.
True story. All right. I am in Split, okay, on the coast of Croatia, the Dalmatian coast, and there is a house there that it's like a business. It's a museum of stuffed frogs, not like stuffed animals, like fake ones. Real frogs. All right, real frogs that have been stuffed, taxidermied and put into absurd positions. Like, my favorite one there is there's like a court, with somebody being judged, like a little frog, so I'm surrounded by like hundreds of frogs put into little scenes, right? And the guy,
frog ones.
There were some smug ones, actually. The judge frog was very smug, for example. But I'm sitting there at this place in Split, this house of frogs that's world famous. It's a noted attraction in the Dalmatian coast. And the dude at the fucking counter, right, keeps looking at me, right? And then I'm on my way out, right? And this dude looks at me, and he says, "I think I know who you are, and I think Meme Magick brought you here."
Jesus Christ!
You should explain to the guy that, like, he has to keep tending to that museum because that's what kept the African invasion out. Literally, that museum.
So, dude, my girlfriend was so impressed at the time.
He said Meme Magick brought you there?
Dude, he literally said, Meme Magick brought me there.
Holy shit.
This place needs to...
That's perfect.
This place needs to be made a church of...
Oh my god, dude, that's so amazing.
The holy site of the faith. Like,
it really is.
Have you guys ever played Crusader Kings 2 by any chance?
No.
Anyway.
I own it, but I haven't played it yet. I've got the Sons of Abraham DLC too that lets you borrow from the Jews and kick them out.
Okay, hey guys, I hate to do this to you, but we are coming up on the break. I know. Is it? Can it be quick?
Yeah. So anyway,
okay, go.
Each religion in the game has like 5 holy sites associated with it. So if esoteric Kekism were a religion in the game, one of those holy sites would be in Dalmatia.
Oh shit!
Like, how Catholicism would have like Rome,
yes,
and Jerusalem.
Yeah.
Dalmatia
esoteric Kekism would be in Dalmatia, definitely.
And of course, there'd be a site in Egypt, probably a site in India, but definitely Croatia.
Wow, that's awesome. All right, well, we are coming up on the break, everybody. We got Lawrence Murray, we got Weev, we got the Paranormies, we got a song. Who's got music for us this week, guys?
We have a song from an artist called Ahnenerbe, and it's an instrumental piece, and it's very white. Like that's all I can really say about it. It's very white.
Nice. All right, well, we are going to take a break. We're going to listen to this, and we'll be back with Weev and Lawrence Murray on the other side of the break. Keep it right here on the Ahnenerbe Hour. right, welcome back, everybody. This is the Paranormies presents the Ahnenerbe Hour. I am Johnny Monoxide. I am with Hazzard, McRee, Greyfield, Stray, Adam Haidt, and our two special, amazing, Jesus Christ, I can't believe they're on my fucking show, guests. We have Weev and Lawrence Murray. What's happening, fellas? We're back. Nobody say anything. Okay, everybody just be quiet.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello, sir.
I do all this big intro for you guys.
I'm
You
going to
just
do
sit
that on
there
every
quiet.
podcast.
All right, what'd you say?
I'm going to do that on every podcast.
Yeah, I know you do.
Tell us about karma.
Tell us, yeah, Larry, tell us about karma.
So we have
Actually,
some,
I'm sorry.
some content going on the content farm here.
Hold on, I'm sorry, but weren't we talking about over the break that we don't wear tinfoil hats around here anymore? Hazard, what is the DEF CON tinfoil setting at right now?
Well, the Paranormies, we have a 3-tier tinfoil setting. We start off with tinfoil hats, then we go to tinfoil nipple pasties, and then the final and the most dire level is tinfoil underwear. Right now, we're still technically at tinfoil hat level, but if you want to go ahead and get to work prepping your tinfoil pasties, you can go ahead and get on that. Your efforts will not be in vain.
The thought of you in pasties makes me feel so sick.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people are ready to be initiated into that level of paramormonism.
But we are initiated, aren't we?
Paramormonism? Did you say paramormonism?
We are initiated.
I did. I mean, what Hazzard's talking about is becoming a third stage paramormy, and I don't think we're there yet.
Get out the magic tinfoil
I wish
underwear.
Tyler were here.
Oh God, you wish Tyler was here every
You
episode.
always
What are you
wish
talking
Tyler
about,
was
weirdo?
here.
Shut up.
Hey, and I've said this many a time. Once all you have left is shut up, you have lost the argument. Not an argument.
I've
Okay,
lost. Now
so-
let's move on.
Moving on, we are at DEF CON 2, not quite tinfoil underwear. Sorry, Larry, to interrupt you. Karma, go.
Yeah, so just to get some more content going, circling back to the esoteric Gekism article, which I hadn't written yet the last time I was on, so this is new OC as far as you guys are concerned, but for me it's old OC. So the analogy I went with was that Meme Magick is a lot like karma, which is an important conception to the Dharmic religions, Buddhism, Hinduism, Jainism, and karma means action in Sanskrit, but broadly refers to a cause and effect system, not just the idea of action. And actions can be bodily or speech, mind, intention, and someone can accumulate good or bad karma based on the way they think, act, believe, practice in life. And it's constantly generated throughout your life, and if you believe in reincarnation, you have past lives where you generated karma that you don't even understand. So the way Meme Magick ties into that is memes are kind of a lot like karma. You've got these intentions and thoughts and deeds being combined into, sort of this grassroots propaganda that thousands of people all over the world are promoting and tweeting out and creating. And we can't quite explain why it catches on, or why Hillary Clinton is talking about it, or why the ADL is banning our memes. So in a way, it's karmic. We're being rewarded for these actions, and the more positive meme karma we generate, the better returns we'll get. And I think that's sort of like a ham-fisted way of putting it all together, but I'm satisfied that
ham-fisted,
it's an explanation
but
that makes sense.
Those layman's terms for sure.
Yeah, but I think it's important to have some kind of, metaphysical system of encouragement. Like, if you're just doing this as sort of like a sterile activity of pushing buttons and crossing your fingers that things are going to work, that's really no way to motivate yourself. To have some kind of system where I'm doing this for a purpose, I'll be rewarded at some point for doing this, and therefore I'm going to keep doing it.
Be the change you want to be.
Exactly.
It sounds very
God
bookish.
damn it, Greyfield, you brought be the change. That's a lefty sort of thing, but it works
It
here.
really is, but
It does. It does work here. It does work here.
Gandhi can try to be appropriated by the left all they want, but he loved guns. He hated niggers. He's one of us.
I think Ghana was. They took down his statue.
Gandhi also loved Hitler.
Do we have an intern to fact check that?
What, the Gandhi hated niggers? Dude, that's
No,
everybody
there's
knows
I
that.
forget exactly which country it is. I believe it's Ghana, but recently there's a university in some West African country where the student body voted to tear down Gandhi's statue because it's well documented that Gandhi was woke on the Dindu question.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty clear. Like, everybody in that, like, brown people know that they don't want to be, like, in a place where people are darker than them. You know, they have an inherent acknowledgement that
the darker you are, the worse
brown
it is.
cultures. Yeah. Like, Indians understand that fully. It's like the really dark Indians, right, are less desirable than the light Indians, and they know this, and they acknowledge this, and they're really happy.
They try to blame that on Western colonialism, but the tradition of
it's not.
revering
That's
lighter
how it
skin
is. Yeah.
predates European contact in India and in China as well.
Well, Indians are an
They
interesting
can't-
case. I
They
mean,
can't just blame us for it.
Indians are
that's
interesting.
culture.
Indians are an interesting case because in Britain they try very hard to integrate. They're one of the few Asian races who try and integrate into the British culture because they see as being part of that as being higher class.
Well, yeah.
From what I understand, they're
the
one of
whiter
the only
culture.
minorities there that will vote for the Conservative Party in Britain.
Indeed, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they do. And what's really funny is the Indian people that I know here in the U.S. All vote Republican.
They are holding like massive amounts of pujas for Trump, and actually in India, the Shiv Sena, which is the hyper nationalist party that's based out of Mumbai with the Marathis, are massively holding these huge ornate religious ceremonies where they like sacrifice things basically before Trump idols, you know, because they have an inherent realization that Trump is going to kick the shit out of Muslims and put them in their place, and they fucking hate Muslims. Right?
My
So
blog
it's,
has actually gotten referrals from Indian forums that are in English where they're talking about the alt-right and about Trump, and it's like they're reading my stuff. It's like, this wasn't intended for you, but
it's crazy. But go ahead, read it.
Sure.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I spent a fair amount of time in India. I spent about 6 months there. I was working in Mumbai for the Mumbai Stock Exchange and doing things for them. I was setting up fixed protocol infrastructure for them. But it was pretty great, actually. Some of the Marathis were actually pretty cool people insofar as brown people go. I still have a little bit of an affection for them, you know, and that they systematically assassinate any Jew that takes office in Mumbai, political office. They're pretty strict about that. They
have a no Jew policy.
Media, yeah, they have a no Jew policy.
Hold on a second. They have a strict. Let me rephrase. They have a strict no Jew policy.
Strict no Jew policy. They have the media. Yes, they actually. I mean, if you're unfamiliar with Indian politics, assassination is pretty much like a really regular thing. Like it happens.
You said
every.
Oh yeah, I know it happens all the time.
We aren't talking about like character assassination. We're talking this fucker.
Yeah,
like bodily assassination.
Yes, a bullet in the face. You know,
you said Mumbai, right?
Yes, Mumbai is it's a very Jewish city.
That
actually
used to be Bombay, right? The Bombay Jewish community would have lived there.
Yeah,
Bombay.
That explains everything.
So, of course, Mumbai is the city with all the financial exchanges and the banks, right? And of course, it's a very, very Jewish city. It's almost like every country that you go to, you see a whole lot of Jews involved with financial industry. It's very a little bit weird, you know. Like you wouldn't
hold on a second. Nuh-uh. I don't believe you. Jews doing the financial stuff? No.
I know. It's hard to believe.
It's hard to believe.
But I assure you, if you look
you're
up,
sure
like,
it's not. Hold on a second, Weev. You're sure it's not just the bankers and the globalists are doing this thing, you know, in Mumbai. Yes.
They're putting chemicals in the water, turning
They're putting chemicals in the water, turn the frogs gay.
I want that to happen.
Buy my birth
Into memes.
Okay, everybody,
On a
Alex
personal
Jones in
note-
3, 2, and okay, no more Alex Jones. Okay, sorry, Weev. Go ahead.
On a personal note, my second album actually had 14 individual downloads in India, according to my stats.
14 individual downloads.
So somewhere in say Mumbai, because I don't know any Indian cities, somewhere there's a call center where they're just basically blasting the Greyfield straight over the top.
But yeah, there's some very sympathetic forces to our kinds of ideas in India. You know, it's Hinduism is really thought of as very monolithic, but even like, with the variety of gods, like Westerners don't really realize that like there's like literally like thousands of gods. Like there's ones that are worshipped just for one city block. It's like their block and it's their god and that's it, and even the Vedas, which is, thought of as like the authoritative text, right? Only about 30% of Hindus actually even like recognize it or have read it, or some of them, significant numbers of Hindus don't even know what it is, So Hinduism is something so vast and so ethnic that you can synthesize almost anything out of it, ideologically. But there are some extreme hyper-nationalist forces within India that have seen the sort of same ascendancy recently with the rise of Modi. That it's like analogous to the West, is that the nation state is rising everywhere, not just here, but there as well.
Yeah.
Speaking of old gods and these various types of gods that people wouldn't recognize, would you be able to speak a little bit to us about the old gods, specifically for Europeans like us?
And which
Absolutely.
ones do you believe in?
I mean, I believe in generally, I believe in all the old gods. I believe that all people have a set of deities that are inherent to their blood and their soil. I believe that all people should go back to the gods that their ancestors worshipped before the advent of Christ. So I mean, my gods are mine, and other people's gods are theirs, and that's to say that like only one set of gods existed, is I think that that's a limiting worldview. Yeah. I know that there's some shared territory, right? If you've ever seen the axe of Perun and the hammer of Thor, the Mjolnir, like these are very similar symbols. They're both red-bearded gods that fought really big things and controlled lightning. And it's basically like the odds are is that Perun traveled west, and his axe was blunted over time and became a hammer. And we're like, this is the reality, is that there's some shared things that have that indicate that major figures in days of old, but mostly I see gods as a source of narrative, right? Is that we're returning to a heroic society, and we're returning to a heroic society because technology is enabling the individual, and this allows for a resurgence of magic because an individual now can talk to something that's much larger than them. It's like most people. This is a problem in our civilization sometimes, and it's a big a solution in our civilization sometimes. Is that there's an occult concept, of course, called the egregore, and the egregore is like the collective mind, right? And every time that somebody makes a tweet, they don't really understand that they're making a tweet to the entire egregore. They don't understand that they're making something that can potentially be viewed by the entirety of a civilization, right? So sometimes they make a comment that's socially unacceptable, very problematic, right? And the next thing that they know is that there's a horde of people.
All kinds of things come out of the woodwork to come after them. Yeah.
But the reality is that this is generally the sign of a good thing, right? Even though it's had bad effects on a few people that sadly have made a joke that's a little bit out of line. But the reality is that this enables power to the individual, right? And the reality is that it doesn't really enable power to weak individuals, right? It generally biases the mentally strong. If you can speak to the egregore, right, the egregore is not likely to respond to you in the way that you plan unless you are clever enough to be able to speak to the collective mind in a way that you can predict. Most of the people that speak to the collective mind are doing so accidentally, but of the people that speak to it intentionally, very, very few people are clever enough to actually muster a response from it. And this is what the core of the meme magic. So the reality is that the old gods are coming back. The kind of civilization that we had when poets ran everything and created the whole world is coming back, because once again, language is the primary action. And so we've seen this a lot, all over the world, is that nationalist movements are coming back. They're just flying, and we've seen this most heavily in the United States because frankly, I think that English is a language that lends itself to poetry very well. I think objectively, the poetry of Keats and Byron is the greatest poetry in the world, and I think that that's objective.
That's Keats and Byron are amazing.
Mm-hmm. Completely agree.
I don't think that I'm being biased in this because I generally have like secular Arabs and Germans and French people who have learned English as a second language tell me that the poetry of the English is the best poetry in the world. The only Arabs that I don't hear that from are ones that are super Muslim, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, this Arab poet, he's so great." But let's be honest,
whatever.
It's a really fucking ugly language.
It doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound good. Nothing about that sounds pretty.
Every Arab that is not a mudslime understands that like their language fucking sucks.
Yeah.
So I think it's an objective truth that poetry is best and most effectively crafted in English than any other language. And now we have this resurgence of magic, first and foremost in the United States, because it's the biggest English egregore on the planet. That's the reality. So we have seen the rise of the old Germanic consciousness of Wotan, right? We've seen it come back in America. Like this is what's happening. And I'd like to again to highlight it was April of 2014 that I tweeted in public that I thought real Donald Trump was one of the best troll accounts on Twitter. And then it was just a little bit later in that year that I promised him my vote in the presidency. And 17th of June of 2014, I promised him the presidency along with my entire troll crew. So we had a 1 year, a whole year before Trump even ran. We knew not only that he was going to run, but then when he ran, exactly 365 days later, when he would announce his nomination, he would then ascend and become the Republican nominee. As a result, my rent is currently being paid as a result of my result on the prediction markets. My bets on prediction markets are currently paying my rent and feeding me, and I'm really drunk right now thanks to
that's a legit thing. You were actually hang on a second, Weev. You were actually living off of profits made on bets cast on Donald Trump. Meme Magick. Yes. See, Meme Magick can actually finance your life.
Yeah, there's two major ways to make a profit off of Meme Magick. Of course, if you can guess the outcome of a hotly contested political event, then there's at least a reasonable amount of money to be made in prediction markets. And of course, if you can guess the future outcome of a publicly traded entity, right, you can make money in securities markets. You can make a whole lot of money on options. So this is what I do for a living. This is my primary, this is what feeds me, but we knew Donald Trump was going to run because we saw lightning behind his eyes, essentially. Like if anybody here remembers the press conference, not the press conference, the White House Correspondents' Dinner with Seth Meyers. Has anybody watched that? Anybody watch that here?
Actually, I've seen excerpts from it. I haven't seen the entire thing.
Yeah, basically, in 2011, Donald Trump is invited to the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Right, I saw. Is there more besides his clip that is worth watching?
No. If you've seen that clip,
I've seen his clip. So I have seen it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So he gets invited to the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and Seth Meyers points him out in the audience and starts ridiculing his desire to become president and calling it a joke. One must look back to that Goebbels speech, right? First they thought it was a joke, they laughed.
Yep. I mean, the memetics. It's not. It's scary how. Step by step, when they say history repeats itself, it's as if there's almost a script. You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
It's being followed
Absolutely.
step by step by step by step. Now, hold on, Larry, you had a question, buddy?
Oh yeah, just to jump off that note, I mean, again, you got to remember our enemies are so in time that they can't help but follow this. That's entirely their problem. To double back to the theology stuff with the old gods, growing up, I was always kind of like alienated from like the Christianity that's practiced in the northeastern United States. It's very atheist. Like, there's not a whole lot of spirituality to it. But one thing
it's a
that
whole bunch of really sad white people, like kind of mumbling songs.
Sad old white people.
Yeah,
there's very little youth involvement.
Yeah.
But one thing that always remained, I think, potent or interesting to me was the the cults of the various saints, and people always try to link that to sort of a pagan, undergirding of Christianity. The Germanization of early Christianity, that famous work. So my question would be, just for Weev, like thinking about the old gods and things like that, like, do you think there's a place for like rehabilitating some of the Christian saints? Because I think the cults to the saints I think they could still have importance, even if the idea of sort of that Judaic monotheistic God declines, because the saints are tied to communities and localities.
Absolutely. I've often dreamed of a work that's like the inverse of the Kalevala, which is the epic poem that's basically the foundation of the Finnish identity. And the core of this poem is really a reconciliation, almost like the old gods really passing the torch, right, to the new ideas of Christendom. And I think that I had this dream once of this bloat, and it's Christ at this bloat in my dream, and he's trying to summon the old gods and be like, I tried, I can't do it. Like, it's your guys' turn again,
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of these saints are warrior saints. Like, they fought to defend the borders of their land, and they would have done it for any god.
Yeah,
so I don't think they're entirely tied to Christianity. They were just born in a Christian world and were devoted to what they were taught to be devoted to at a time when it wasn't as subverted at all as it is now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that Christianity succeeded in spite of Christ, basically because it got attached to white people, and basically whatever is attached to white people succeeds out of the inherent superiority of European people. But that's really not
Hey, Weev, I have a question for you about that.
In my mind.
I have a question for you about that.
Yeah, go for it.
So why do whites feel the need to spread their Christianity to everybody else?
Well, I mean, this is the utter subversion of Christianity, right? Is a universalism. That's why they put so much, there were people like Rod the Strong, who was actually forced to eat a snake for refusing to be baptized. That's why there was so much resources. He ate snack. So the live snake was shoved down his throat, and so that it would eat his way out of his chest. It was a pretty brutal way to die. And
God damn, that sounds horrible. Who did this to him?
Basically the priests come up,
This is like some Aztec Mazatlan shit they used to do.
Yeah, right? They don't teach you.
Those peaceful savages that Columbus came in and murdered. But yeah, anyways.
But there was this huge effort to instill this universalist religion amongst European peoples, and it was extremely bloody. Many of our ancestors were tortured for this idea that we're all the children of God, right? Like every one of us is precious, right? And we became Christian. But it took a long time to actually get all the pagan ways out, right? Like up until after the First Crusade, really it took a long time, many centuries, to get this spirit out of us, And finally, the universe is reacting, because there's so much magic inherent to it, and there's so much that favors us in it, and that it's just like it's pouring out of the seams again of all of reality. Is that the old gods have their place and they're coming back, and we've seen this most effectively in the rise of two figures in history. We've seen Adolf Hitler and we've seen Donald Trump, and these two men have embodied the spirit of Wotan more than any other men in history.
That's completely true. I mean, they almost mimic each other almost perfectly too.
Have you ever read?
He is literally Hitler, right?
Well, yeah, that's the meme.
I have an article about that.
After the latest speech, how is he not literally Hitler? It's fucking great,
God.
dude. I mean, fucking his rallies
listen,
now.
The last speech I heard, the one he did, the not naming the Jew but naming the Jew the whole time. I was in my kitchen watching it on my phone, and the palm of my hand is almost bruised from like slapping the counter the whole time I'm watching. I was just like, yes, God damn it, yes. Oh. I
remember listening to that at work, and then I got up and I left the office to go for a walk.
Yeah, there's no way you could have sat still.
Had to go to the
no
bathroom
way.
real quick.
Yeah. What, Adam?
So, Gray, you said you had a question?
Well, not really a question. I wanted to first thing that we've brought up. You said you have your gods, I have mine. There's a lot of, I suppose, again, it's bringing it back to memes again. The idea that it's a theme that I found a lot in fiction. I don't claim any great spirituality of my own, but obviously I have the interest. The idea of gods themselves only getting power from the belief of men. So would you say that memes in themselves, and I suppose gods as well, can only exist if we believe them to exist? Or do they predate us?
I'm not so sure. I mean, whether or not you recognize Trump is Wotan, right? Like that's a reality. It's that there's a essay from Carl Gustav Jung on it's titled On Wotan, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a quote from it where he says, "He is a fundamental attribute of the German psyche, an irrational psychic factor which acts on the high pressure of civilization like a cyclone and blows it away. Despite their crankiness, the Wotan worshippers seem to have judged things more correctly than the worshippers of reason," right? And the people, this essay is about Adolf Hitler, right? But the people that were following Adolf Hitler, most of them would not have ever, the word Wotan did not come to their lips, right? They wouldn't have thought in their active conscious mind that Adolf Hitler was Wotan, right? Mm-hmm. So the reality is that there's something very deep-seated in the minds of men. I think that it transcends what is learned or what is believed. I think that there's something deeper than that, much as how Plato wrote that the Ouroboros was burnt very deep into our conscious minds, right? That there's something that's there, that's mystical, that transcends anything that we're taught, anything that we might know, anything that we believe. The reality is that right now, there are Trump supporters at rallies, right? And they're going around and they're saying, this is a quote from the New York Times, "The Republican electorate is not a bunch of completely ignorant fools. We know who Donald Trump is, and we're going to use Donald Trump to either take over the GOP or blow it up." And the reality is, compare that to Jung's quote on Wotan. These people, whether they are, very few of them are going to even know what Wotan is, know what Wotan represents, but it doesn't matter. Something deep within their souls compels them to bow before Wotan.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
It's Meme Magick.
That feel when Wotan will never visit Britain.
I did something kind of on that subject about a year ago. Before he even got the nomination, I was calling him the strong horse candidate because he just projects that power and auctoritas. When Trump,
you can feel that there's something behind him.
They called it speaking beyond the sale, I think, or selling beyond the. There's some sales term for what.
You got to look at. Look at the guy. The guy.
Put the idea in people's heads that what he's talking about is going to happen. It's just a matter of getting.
Oh, you assume the sale.
Assuming the sale. Mm-hmm. So that's why some people in TRS are pushing the meme that we should just always refer to Trump as President Trump, it's the same idea.
I've been doing that since December. Yeah.
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 It can't hurt.
But yeah, he's the strong horse candidate compared to literally everybody. They're just
everybody. Yeah.
Everyone. I can't think of someone who ran against him that wasn't weak.
Right? Rand Paul was a foot shorter than him.
With his butch haircut.
John Kasich had the haircut of a 16-year-old boy He was with the Detroit Republican shirt. Hasn't been a Republican in Detroit since
Trump
1964.
only started doing the DR3 after he had to. Right?
Yeah. Well, it was like about a week before he had to. He did it a little bit ahead of schedule, but he would have eventually
Maybe
had
that was
to.
to get it out of the way.
So
maybe
I have a question for you that I think it ties a little bit onto the back of Greyfield's last question. The old gods, do you believe that they are merely egregores? Do you believe that they are merely aspects of ourselves, or do you believe that they are something more, something that there is an element innate to them that is outside of the physical, outside of us?
Well, I mean, it's hard to tell where the physical ends and the psyche begins, right? And these things are intimately tied together. But I think that there were figures among us at one time which exhibited power that we don't fully comprehend at this juncture. But their influence was so profound, right, that they probably had a significant effect upon our evolution. You know, if you have something that holds mastery over you for centuries, right, and then it goes away, right? We know this for a fact, is that there's something that remains behind, even in animals. You know, there's a study recently that if you go up to crows, right, in a mask and you fucking do something mean to them, right, they remember, right, and then their kids know too if you go back with the mask, right. Like there's something in our myths. There is an echo of Votan that we all acknowledge. It's still a common thread in our civilization, right? Like every Christmas we go back to Votan worship. Whether you want to acknowledge this as a Christian or not, you are engaging in an act of paganism. Right? Something very old, much older than Christ, where you are venerating a bringer of gifts. And what gift did Votan bring us? He brought us the runes. He died on the tree, and he was reborn to gain access to magic, and that magic was language, and this is what he gave us. And whether you believe it or not, right? Whether you believe it or not, this is a shared experience that never went away. We have an innate and precious connection to our old gods that has never been interrupted.
So you believe that there is some outside spark, but then the belief, the faith, and that power of man adds on to the spark.
Absolutely. I mean, I believe literally that at one time Votan was a real figure, that he lived, that Thor, also known as Perun to the Slavs, was a real figure that existed, and that these things are so deep-seated in our consciousness that we will never be rid of them. And they may yet as yet return to us, but even if they never do return to us, they are so entwined as to what it is to be us that we'll never like fully escape these things in our consciousness.
That's interesting. It seems to me that there's a I want to use the word symbiotic, but that makes it sound, I don't know, unsacred. But there's like a mutually beneficial relationship between the gods of our blood and soil and the men that worship them, and that, the men, they glorify the gods and in turn receive blessings and gifts. And so I don't want to make it out as like a transactionary relationship, because that's really Jewish, but it's just this sort of mutually glorifying relationship between men and their gods.
But it is transactional, though, because the pagan mindset is honoring your gods through works, not just through adherence to scripture. That's something that a certain kind of people like,
right? Yes.
The Pharisees.
The Pharisees. Oh. Yeah.
Because if you're just based on this worshipping of the text and following the text and proclaiming the text, you're allowed to just do that, but then behave differently. But if you've got the more pagan mindset, it's like, no, you actually have to behave things you believe.
So it's a certain like accountability associated with that.
And some varieties of Christianity do have that. faith and works, but a lot of the Protestant offshoots, I think, are heavily, faith
Heavily faith-based, yeah.
As I said,
Interesting. I'd never considered that perspective.
It's as I said before, you're limiting yourself to a single spectrum as opposed to a much wider one.
Yeah, we're full spectrum here.
Mm-hmm. We are full spectrum on the Paranormies. Wow, that was... Okay, so... I got lost there. What are we doing now?
Oh, that was some real talk.
That was some real talk. I was so engrossed in that conversation, and I have nothing to say on that. Wow.
I could give you some more stuff. I mean,
yeah. Could you give us some more stuff to go? Because that went deep. That went deep, and
because I remember growing up. One of the things that made me move away from religion when I was younger, and I'm still sort of there, but I've moved a bit closer now, I think, was just the idea that, miracles or miraculous acts stopped happening.
Mm-hmm. The further you got away from religion?
No, just in terms of time. We know during the ancient world, there's all these great and spectacular myths of
right. So once they invented cameras and video cameras, the miracles stopped happening?
Yeah, we frame that entirely in materialistic ways, and we're like, well, we're just so much smarter than these people that conquered continents. We're just so much smarter than them.
Yeah, we have to be. We have cell phones now. Why aren't we? Of course
we're
we're
so much smarter than the Romans or the ancient Egyptians. Who we still don't know how they built the pyramids. We're just so much.
But we're smarter because we have Wi-Fi.
Yeah, and we understand that miraculous things don't happen anymore, and we can explain them entirely through reason, because we're just that smart, right? We're so smart, that's why we don't have any of these massive social problems and people drugging themselves in the most advanced society that ever lived, drugging themselves to death.
No, that never happens. What are you talking about?
I mean, and now that I'm older and I look back on that, it's well, yeah, that was the mindset of a kid. Oh, yeah, well, the miracles don't happen anymore because we have science.
Yep.
And, I don't mean to sound too smug, but I think that's just the default position people have, is viewing things through this material lens, and they lose a lot through that. I mean, that's why you've got, all the degeneracy, because there's no spirituality of any kind.
Well, hey, we have miracles.
There's no Christianity.
Now. It's
there's no
magic.
paganism.
We do have miracles,
shit.
Larry. We do have miracles, and they're called Meme Magick, like Adam just said.
Right, and that's sort of the the return, the eternal return to the same cyclical time, all of this stuff. It's sort of the radical traditionalist way of looking at things that got discarded in favor of material progress.
Yeah, well, traditionalism has gone right out the window.
Has made us very neurotic. Things have to keep growing all the time, or else
things have to keep growing. You have to get the newest, the best, the latest. Yeah.
You have to get a new phone every year.
Well, you have to, otherwise, because the batteries don't work anymore. Not only is your contract up, but they build in the planned obsolescence. That's
but they added a slightly new feature, so you should churn out another $800 for this.
Right. The phone jack.
You shouldn't have any lasting monuments to your life on Earth or accomplishments. You should just keep buying new iterations of these products.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess this is a bit off topic from the paranormal stuff, but I think it is important to consider that one way the alt-right and nationalists and national socialists and all people on our side can win is by providing an alternative that gives people meaning. It can't just be politics.
Yeah, no, I agree, because, the way you put it, and I completely agree, we use materialism, spiritualism is left behind.
Exactly, yeah. We don't have any spiritual connection to anything anymore, which goes back to the paranormal.
Yeah,
because we used to have a spiritual and etherical
job. I'm probably going to get a better job soon and raise my standard of living significantly pretty soon, and that'll make me happy. But it's not, it's important in the short term, but it doesn't provide a meaning. Right. It's just now I'm able to consume more, but everything still means what it meant before, which is not much, right?
Exactly.
It's the modern problem we have.
Yeah.
No, we have meaning to life is when you bring other life into life,
but that costs money.
Right, especially in certain places.
You can't have fun anymore. You can't go drink and be a degenerate like you have.
Right, Right, exactly.
So you don't want to do that. That's bad.
Well, because that would crush your childlike spirit, you know.
Yeah, you'd lose some of your freedom to consume material
Exactly.
goods.
You would lose the Peter Pan
That's
part.
really bad.
Yeah. You know. Oof. We got really far away.
Why be an adult, right?
Why be an adult? We are
this-
far off.
We're being
from Meme
ironic
Magick.
here, but this is this is what a lot of normies think. You know, this is why we're paranormies.
Yeah,
right?
well, no, they have. Yeah, they don't have babies. They have fur babies. I get all. Yes. Oh. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I work with a number of dog parents at my job.
Oh, dog parents. I went to work today and fill out some paperwork at the shop. On the corner of my eye, I see 2 dogs running around the office. Like,
they have to go back.
bringing pets to work? No, like the king always had like a pack of animals running around that's fine. I don't have a problem with dogs running around, like, you know, but if it's little purse dog faggotry, then, you know, that has to be carried around and taken. No, I don't like those little tiny little.
You got to get a dog that can bring you your tools.
Yeah, exactly.
While you're working on stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, I need.
That'd be great. Like he could wear like a little satchel over his back and just run up to you.
Just carry my tools on his back.
That would be man's best friend.
That would be awesome. It would. All right, so we covered the old gods. We covered Meme Magick. Oh, Jesus Christ. We covered Meme Magick and Donald Trump. Are there any more Donald Trump meme that we missed?
Wasn't there the numerology thing, or did you guys talk about?
Well, we did numerology. Yeah, we did. No, hold on. We did numerology last week. Donald Trump itself, I believe somebody put in one of the comments, Donald Trump itself is 11.
And T plus R plus U plus M plus P, the numerical values equals 88.
Right, and then there's 88.
Yeah, that's
so
pretty damning.
Like he's got the 11 and the 88, and then President Donald Trump, or President Donald J. Trump. I can't remember off the top of my head, and I'm not about to start clicking through stuff to find it, but it's
President
one of those two
Donald
things.
J. Trump in
1488.
Yeah, 1488.
Yes. I think
it's interesting that
I don't think it's any sort of coincidence, you know, that he had 14, you know, the 14 Medal of Honor winners and the 88 generals stand up for him.
Yeah,
You know,
when I gave my speech on Meme Magick, which is I've published as The Wall Just Got 10 Feet Higher. Check it out at my blog. That's one of the closing things I talked about. That's a sign from the Froghead. There's no other way to explain that. Even the Jewish Daily Forward picked up on the 88 generals and wrote about it.
Yeah. I mean, and even
People
if
who
it wasn't
know
88,
knew what
if it was
that
87 and they released the number 88, if it was 90, they said it was 88. I think that if it wasn't a dog whistle, if it wasn't like mimetic, it was still like a dog whistle. Like they know, people know what that means.
Yeah.
They know the meme. And the 14 and the 88 just seem to surround Donald Trump. It's really weird. Or is it?
Yeah, I'm still waiting for the press release where like 88 generals endorsed Hillary. It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. No. Weev, what do you think about that?
I think that Trump is an avatar of Votan, and he's going to lead our people to salvation. And whether he wins or loses at this election, it's going to happen no matter what. We're going to make America great again, and I am fully committed to seeing a push through to the end.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have been following the speculation on what happens if he loses, but people are very worried that he's going to basically weaponize his memes and go on TV. Like he's either going to start a channel or start a show or start some kind of media empire because his normal brand is gone. He's gotten rid of that and he's become, you know, an outcast. He's now become.
If he needs some shitlords in media, I mean, I wonder who he could turn to.
Yeah, I don't know.
I would sure love a job from him.
I bet you.
If Hillary wins, then I am going full insurgent. I am fleeing to Transnistria, and I am going to do massive infrastructure damage like nobody has ever seen before.
It's a prank, Goy. You heard it here first on the Paranormies. All right.
So this is the last episode of the Paranormies, then.
Grace. Yeah. Yeah. I don't. Here's the thing, though, guys, is I don't see, like, here's the fucking thing, and I don't know where we've gone all Donald Trump and political and whatever. The man turns away 10,000 people at a rally in Florida because, you know, there's not enough seats. 10,000 people got turned away, and Tim Kaine pulls 40. How, you know, the actual, going back to numerology, like there was a, what's his name? Bill Mitchell on Twitter said that polling tests by actuaries support what I've been saying. Fairly sampled polls show big Trump lead. Like, there's no way that the numbers, he's got the numbers, he's got the numerology, he's got the memetic numbers. There's no way that, like, the numbers of people in this country are actually not going to vote for him. You know?
And regardless of what happens,
I think they're just
the polls.
I think the media is just trying to blackpill people as much as.
I totally believe that. I
don't remember who said it, but they said, you know, if the polls are real, if Hillary Clinton really is so far ahead, then why has the media been running around like a chicken with his head cut off for over a year now?
That's a good point.
Yeah, they know there's a problem, and if you look at the Trump speech, you know, to sort of tie this back into Meme Magick, I mean, how many of you guys are familiar with Joseph Campbell and the idea of the monomyth and things like that?
Yes.
Anybody?
Yes, I've heard of it.
Not I.
You've heard of them? So basically the idea is that, like, every great story follows the same cycle. I mean, anyone listening, you guys can all look this up. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but basically if you read Trump's speech, the speech he's giving is basically the hero's journey. He says how he had this great life, he was part of the establishment, and he lived in this great civilization, but then it's in peril, right? It's become corrupted and evil and decadent, so he has to leave it and go on a journey. He even says, like, nevertheless, I take all of these slings and arrows gladly for you. I take them for our movement so we can have our country back. So he's going through, you know, the persecution and trials of the hero's journey. And, you know, Trump is a monomyth type character. He starts out somewhere up high. He falls. He struggles. And then, you know, it ends with the hero rising.
How far does that go back, that story?
Old order, or creating a new one.
How far back does that story go? I think it goes back far, like, to King David.
Yeah.
He takes out Goliath, becomes a king, falls.
Becomes the king.
The king of who? Israel. Becomes the greatest king ever, falls, comes back up, and falls again.
Listen to this line from
it's
the
speech,
the same
though.
Story. Many of my friends and many political experts warned me that this campaign would be a journey to hell. Said that. But they're wrong. It will be a journey to heaven, because we will help so many people that are desperately in need of help. So I don't know. Weev, what do you think of that? That sort of ties into the God avatar thing, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, this is the reality, is that we're returning to an age of narrative, right? Like, the old civilizations were heroic civilizations where everything was focused on great heroes, right? And they had stories that were attached to their lives. And this was how it was for a very long time, until the advent of this new idea of institutional power that was inherent in the Christianization of Europe, right? And so now that we have overcome this, you know, that the magic of computation is returned to man, you know, that we have the abstractive power of language again, we're going to begin to see heroic civilization return. All of civilization everywhere is going to be focused upon great heroes again, and going to be focused upon narrative.
So hold up, you know, in this rising era of technology, we're going to be seeing great heroes once again in individual men. Are you saying that we're going to live Shadowrun and Cyberpunk?
Dude, I make my money off of, like, memes, and I doing
You're doubting Weev.
You're a hacker in a former Soviet country. Yeah, you're living Shadowrun right now.
yeah.
Like you literally are. I mean, you are. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty much a dwarf wizard in Shadowrun.
Yes, I'm not the only dwarf on the show. All right. Yes, I will nuclear next.
I'm
God,
5'5". I'm 100% manlet status.
yeah.
Holy shit!
I love it, dude. So when Intifa doxed me yesterday, and they put my thing out, and they said Johnny Monoxide, 5'4", but very large build. Like, they're like,
dude,
man,
I might be short.
They're like, but watch
But I'm
out.
Chad as fuck.
Yeah, exactly. This is short, but he's Chad as fuck. Exactly. Yeah. Don't come stepping like mini Wolverine. I will rip your arms off and beat you to death with them. So. But yeah,
Yes, the blood of the Dwarven Smiths runs in our veins.
yes. The mines of Moria. Okay. So,
More like the miners of Moria.
you know what? I will climb up on a chair. And never mind. All
He's
right.
going to give you the chair.
Right? He's going to give me the chair. Yeah, light. I will make
I
a
just
weird
had a thought.
contraption out of lights and hit
This
you
all
with it.
makes
How about
sense
that?
now.
What?
That the dwarves support Trump because Trump is a great builder. To
Right?
build a great fortress along
Then-
our southern border.
The dwarves will
by
build it.
dwarves.
The dwarves will build it, and it'll be the most secure border in the history of this entire
Enslaved
planet.
Squatamalans.
Don't talk about Squatamalans right now. I have a.
No, we're going to enslave the bad short people.
Well, yeah, no, it's not. I had a. There was a thing.
Well, those aren't dwarves;
the-
they're just small orcs.
Oh, like goblins. Yeah, you're right.
Goblins,
You're right.
yeah,
They're
yeah.
goblins.
There we go.
Of course,
They're
of
goblins.
course.
They're yeah.
I thought the goblins were the kikes.
This is tough. Because I know Jeb Bush is married to like a troll.
He's married to like a garden gnome, though. Not really a troll. Like a Mexican garden gnome.
I'm pretty
Whatever
sure
it
she's got hairy
is.
feet, Yeah.
Trump's gonna toss it off his wall first.
Right?
Do a couple of spin-ups beforehand, then throw it, and then they can't find their way back.
What?
Wait, what?
Isn't that like how you get rid of the garden trolls? You like spin around in circles a couple of times, throw them past the wall, and then they can't find their way back.
That's what Eisenhower did, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly what Eisenhower did.
With helicopters, simulate extra spinning.
No. All
We're
right.
gonna do like a combination Duterte, Eisenhower, Pinochet removal program.
Yeah. You can get shot.
Duterte's so good, dude. I can't.
He's
believe
the,
that
like, the
greatest world
ultimate
leader
shitlord.
Is a fucking Filipino.
When he said, yeah,
Strongest
he
race
said,
in the world,
I
fam.
think the thing that people don't seem to realize is the fact that he's toned down from what he used to be in the fucking 80s and 90s. He used to like literally just ride around with a gang on fucking motorcycles, gunning people down in the streets openly.
Yeah, he had his own right-wing death
Turned
squad.
to heroic,
Yeah.
civil.
He should go back to that, to be honest.
well, I mean, he's pretty much doing it. It's just now they're driving government vehicles. You know, he's the ultimate
cool
shitlord,
SUVs.
though. Like, he pretty much, not only did he say, I'm not going to stop killing drug dealers and drug addicts, but he, like, totally, like, denied the Holocaust with his number. Like, his figure, he said, he goes, I'll kill
Dude,
3 million
it's
drug
so
dealers
good.
like they killed 3 million Jews. Like, or whatever he fucking said.
It was such a troll. Dude, there's no way he didn't know that they were going to be more upset over the 3 million number, because they were.
Of course.
They totally-
Of course. That's like,
I
that's,
remember
yeah.
reading the New York Times the day after, and within the first paragraph, they're like, historians agree that it was 6. As if that's the most important thing that happened, not that he's massacring people.
It was like,
Should be
it was like on the
massacred,
front
but
page of a section, too,
He
wasn't
gave
it?
the wrong number.
There's a quote from him which actually I thought was fantastic. He said, I don't care if I burn.
Oh, great.
That is such an amazing
we lost
quote.
you.
Can you do it again?
We lost you for a sec, Greg.
Yeah, I wish I'd heard it.
Should I do it again? Should I
Yeah.
get a bit heroic? You know?
Could you? Yeah.
I do not care if I burn in hell, as long as my people live in paradise.
I like it.
That's exactly like the Trump speech. It's the
Yeah.
heroic politics
Exactly.
Return of that.
Yep. It's a
We're
heroic
seeing
policy.
the
They call that
return-
it was like the sound of 1,000 wallets opening at once. You know, I mean, like
We're seeing the return of old gods. We're seeing old
Mm-hmm.
magic given new form, and we're seeing heroes rise once more.
we haven't had a true hero in I don't know how long.
All I can
Kennedy,
say is seeing the
like Kennedy, like there was like an attempted, I think, hero that wasn't never. I think that was
So
kind
you're
of
not into
forced.
worshiping baseball players and football players? Those aren't your heroes?
No.
no.
Come on.
Oh,
who's
is that
your
what they're
hero?
doing? Is that the meme now? That's
Supposed
the
to
new.
be
Yeah, of course.
A sports baller.
Or
Not
Luke
supposed to be
Skywalker,
Hercules,
or a Luke
Vlad
Skywalker,
Impaler. It's
or
supposed to be
some
Derek
guy.
Jeter.
Yeah, no, I'm saying like, or if it's not sports, it's like some movie hero or whatever. They tried that with all the hero movies and stuff. It's not the same. It's
Well,
not the
Star
same.
Wars is a monomyth, or at least the original trilogy is. So, and that's what prompted the author to write about that, if I remember correctly.
Oh, really?
I will say this: the rise of heroes, man, it's making me rise. You know what I mean?
Alrighty then.
There's going to be so many heroes, believe me. You're going to get tired.
Is there going to be any N heroes?
Believe me.
You think there'd be a lot of N heroes?
Oh my god, I cannot wait to see the people killing themselves after the election.
Oh, you and me, Billy, it's gonna be beautiful.
Yes!
You guys are like, well, what if Trump loses? And like, who's going to be in hearing that? I don't think it's gonna. I mean, I can't see it. The amount, like I said before, like just this will be the most stolen election in the history of elections if they just give it to Hillary. There's no way. The popular vote, like I said, they're turning away tens of thousands of people at his rallies and stuff. Hundreds of thousands of people have signed up to vote Republican, then have even signed up to vote in the past like 2 elections. You know, there's no way. There's black people are becoming disenfranchised with Hillary.
The vote
You know,
returns anything but Trump, we have a putsch. That is a given. We all know it's going to happen.
You know,
it's a reality.
I'm almost at a point where I kind of want it to be stolen, just because that will give him an excuse to be less merciful.
Don't worry. There will be no surplus of mercy regardless.
Yeah, what I always say is you have to remember what these people stole from us,
oh right.
and then just it all really clicks. Like, this was a society that was launching itself into space,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
we don't do that anymore. You know, check out Paul Kersey's Whitey on the Moon. We stopped caring about that as soon as NASA became a diversity program. So,
Right. It's a totally different.
we should have a moon base by now.
We should have at least 2 moon bases by now.
Two.
And
We should have 2.
yeah, we
We should have 14.
14 lunar
stations by now.
yeah. We should
have 14 lunar cities and 88 lunar outposts.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Okay, how many more times can we say 1488 tonight?
Not enough.
Another
Never
1,488 times.
Oh, you guys. Wow. So, yeah. So we got fucking Weev and Lawrence Murray on the Paranormies Present talking about memes and meme magic and Donald Trump and significance of coincidences and future things. And damn, this was a really fun time, guys.
I need a cigarette. It was that
I think
good.
this was our best second hour ever.
Yeah?
This was our
Victory.
best episode, period.
I did no prep, so I hope I did well.
You did good.
You did great.
good.
Oh, you shouldn't have said so. People
Thanks,
would
Joyce.
not have known.
Yeah, no, because yeah. I'd like to thank both you guys for coming on. Weev, thanks, dude. I appreciate it. You're welcome back anytime
Yeah,
you want to
thank
come
you.
on and talk about
We-
whatever.
It has been a real privilege, and we're planning on doing some episodes about actual, in-depth looks into the old gods, the runic languages, their usages. Would you be interested in coming on for that as well?
Sounds good, fam.
Hell yeah.
All right. We'd love
Oh,
to
yeah.
have you for that.
And Mr. Lawrence Murray, Mr. Atlantic Centurion, thanks for coming on again, buddy. Love having you. was great.
Yeah, it was great coming on and talking to you guys again.
Oh,
and,
real quick, for the show description, Weev and Larry, what do you want me to put in there? Any I don't know, just your websites?
Yeah, whatever. Twitter, whatever. Don't give a fuck.
Weev, no.
Right.
People know fucking Weev. He's like, yeah,
on
I'm
Twitter,
Weev.
I'm at Atlantic Cent. Cent, like, the coin, short for
Oh
Centurion.
God, Larry really is.
Hey.
Oh God. It's funny. I was in a thread earlier defending the Venetians against counter signalers. Anyway, so there's that. Then of course, my site atlanticcenurion.wordpress.com, and whatever you guys want to click it, that's cool. If not, you'll read my articles somewhere. They're everywhere now.
Yeah.
TRS, Countercurrents, Fascination, Zero Hedge. Lou Rockwell republished something I did.
Jesus
today.
Christ. Wow. Today?
Everywhere now.
Nice.
Yeah.
These are my friends, ladies and gentlemen. Lawrence Murray, Weev, Greyfield Stray, Adam Haidt, Hazzard, McRee. I'm Johnny Monoxide. We are going to take you out with another creepypasta. We will be back in a week with another super spoopy. We're going to have to go super spoopy after this one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because immediately after our next episode, it's going to be the live one.
Yeah, we're doing the live one. And on the live one, we are doing a collaboration with Culture Conf and the Darwin Digest. We're going to have a live show in the morning and a live show in the evening. The live show is going to be Culture Conf and Darwin Digest, and the evening show is going to be the Paranormies present the Ahnenerbe Hour. So you guys check us out. We'll see you guys next week. Later.
Lad.
Victory. Wayward posters, you that fright, the normie net browser by night, who as dismal ravens flighting, wrought comment sections blighting. Appear at my call, and share in the fame of a mischief shall make all Zogdom flame. Say, Beldam, say, what's thy will? Harm's our delight, and mischief all our skill. The Queen of Clintons, whom we hate, as we do all in wretched state, ere November sunset shall we shove, deprived of fame, of life, and love. Ruined ere the set of sun, I tell you how this shall be done. The High King Trump, you know, is bound by fate to seek Washington ground. The Queen and he are now in place. Hark, hark, the cry comes on apace. But when they've done, my trusty frog will toss some faggots in a bog. The great white race is here to stay, and Trump shall set a charge that makes the whole world sway. But ere we this perform, we'll conjure Votan's storm to mar their hunting sport and drive 'em back to court. In our deep vaulted cell, the charm will prepare. Too dreadful a shitpost for this open air.